was God. All right, and the Word became flesh. All right, that's Jesus, and He dwelt among us. All right, and so what Satan was trying to do was to corrupt that. If I can get rid of the godly human aspect made in the image of God, then He can't come through that. But there was what? How many people left that did not have that? The Bible said that Noah was perfect in his what? Generation. And it was 8 people, and God what? Saved those 8 people to allow that human aspect of created in God's image to continue. All right, but so God said that He spared not the old world, so they didn't get away with it. All right, so the angels didn't get away with it. Those people that try to corrupt the human nature in the antediluvian world did not get away with it. Then He talks about Sodom and Gomorrah and how they were behaving and the things that they were doing. And God said, and Peter says that Sodom and Gomorrah is condemned to become ashes, and they were overthrown, and the city was what? Burnt. So they didn't get away with it. So what is Peter trying to show you a precedence of? People that do what?
Sin.
What's going to happen?
They're going to die.
They're not going to get away with it. So he's opening up this chapter talking about the false prophets, the false teachers. And these false teachers that are going out and they're talking and they're teaching people these damnable doctrines. And Peter's saying, don't worry, it's going to happen. They're coming this way. They're going to teach, they're going to deceive many. But just like the angels didn't get away with it, they're not going to get away with it. Just like the antediluvian world didn't get away with it, they're not going to get away with it. Just like Sodom and Gomorrah didn't get away with it, they're not going to get away with it. So what does that mean? If God said, you ain't going to get it, you're not getting by. You're not going to get over. You're not going to be able to do this eternally. You're going to be brought to a what? To an end. So, that lets us know then that we pray that God will allow us not to be deceived, because trying to pray for their hurt and their, I wish God would wipe them out. And God's already got them what? Pegged for destruction. So then what do we do? We got to pray for people to get their eyes open so they don't see the deception. The deception is going to be there. It's going to happen. Why do we know it's going to happen? Because remember the parable that Jesus said. He said, a farmer went and sowed what? Wheat in the field. And then while men slept, an enemy came and sowed what? Tares amongst the wheat. And the angel said, should we go down and destroy the tares? No. He said, no, don't go down there now and destroy the tares. Because by taking out the tares, you may accidentally take out some of the what? Wheat. Some of the wheat. Let the wheat and the tares do what? Grow together. Let them. And so that's what's going on now. The children of God and the children of this world are growing together. But what you don't want is to be deceived and allow that teaching to become part of you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Bible said a form of godliness, but denying the powers thereof. So we have a lot of people have a form of godliness, but they deny the powers thereof. They look like us, they walk like us, they talk like us, but they have a form of godliness.
Exactly. And the damnable thing about it is they're not heretical looking. That's what that form of godliness means. It means they look, it looks like, hey, this looks like a place I can go and learn about God. This looks like a place I can go and learn about Jesus. This looks like a place. These people seem nice. These people seem, because once again, the con artist ain't going to look like, a thug, beat him up type of guy. He's going to come in a what? In a suit, tell you about what you should do with your 401k, how you should invest your money here, and you're going to get all that. That's how he's coming. He's coming looking what? All presentable. And so when you're trying to deceive individuals, and this is what the devil is trying to do, and this is what Peter's trying to warn us of, that spirit. And remember, this is just, 20, 30 years after the crucifixion of Christ. And this spirit is already on the what? Earth. On the earth. And it's still here 2,000 years later. And it's still going to be something that we have to deal with, unfortunately. But God gives us the ability to deal with it. All right? And so then in verses 10, it says, but chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness, and despise governments, presumptuous are they. All right, so he's saying that they walk after what? The flesh. That means that they understand that every individual has fleshly wants. And they try to cater to that, not trying to cater to the spiritual wants, to the spiritual needs, but to the baser needs. All right? And so you have to watch that. When everything is entertainment, everything is emotional thrills, you have to watch that. All right? Presumptuous are they, self-willed. All right? And that's important too, self-willed. Meaning that I'm going to do what I feel is right, not what God's trying to do. And that's another real key that the devil is involved. Remember when Jesus told Peter and the disciples, and he asked them the question, I should say, who do men say that I am? And their answer was, some say that you are Elias, some say that you are Moses, some say you are one of the prophets. Jesus said that, who do you say that I am? And he said that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. All right? And Jesus said, flesh and blood did not reveal that to you, but my Father. He got an inspiration from God, just like we can get an inspiration from God. God's trying to give you a revelation on something that's real. Because that's how the Bible really is going to be understood. When you get to the book of Revelation, you understand, well, how do you understand all that symbolism? You understand it by just what the title is. You're going to understand Revelation when God gives you a what? A revelation. That's how you're going to understand it. You ain't going to learn your way to it. You ain't going to study your way to it. Although the Bible does say, study to what? To show yourself approved. But all your studying is going to do is allow the revelation that God gives you to be clearer. All right? So, we see here that there's self-will. Now, oh, yes.
I'm just wondering, what does it mean? I know what presumptuous means, but why is it there?
Well, presumptuous and self-will go together. Because it's like presumptuous, I would define that as saying, well, I really don't have to ask you, I know what I'm doing, type of thing. And so self-will means, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to ask nobody for advice. I'm not going to ask God. I'm not going to pray to God. I know what I'm going to do. So the reason I brought up that story about Peter, because Peter got that revelation from who? The Father. But right after that, when Jesus started talking, he was telling them, well, you said right, the Father has given you this revelation, and he started talking about how he's going to have to what? Die. Peter then said, no, you won't. You will not have to die. Now, Peter just stepped into his own what? Because Peter didn't want Jesus to die. His will, Peter's will, was for him not to die. That's my will. That's what I want. I don't want you to die. Now, what type of attitude did Peter just take on? What did Jesus say to Peter? Get thee behind me, who? Satan. He took on that mindset of the devil, because the devil is self-willed. The devil is like, I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't want to listen to God. I don't want to have to understand the ways of God. I want to do things the way I want to do it, period. And so the devil is self-willed. And so the minute Peter stepped into that self-will, you don't have to die, Jesus. You can do it a different way. Instantly, he's taken on, he aligned himself. He became parallel with the focus and the actions of Satan. And that's why Jesus had to rebuke him quickly. That's why Judas was the son of perdition, because what he was trying to do, I'm going to get Jesus into the kingdom the way I want him to get there. And so he said, I'm going to put Jesus between a rock and a hard place. I'm going to let the government arrest him, get him there, and because I believe he's going to set up the kingdom now, he's going to have to then show his power, just like he showed his power by raising Lazarus, just like he showed his power by opening the eyes of the blind, just like he showed his power by allowing the lame man to walk. When these people come and arrest him, because I believe, my understanding is that the Messiah is going to set up the kingdom now, and when he sets up the kingdom, I want to be one of those ruling with him. But he didn't understand, nor was he listening to the will of God, that I have to die. And so Judas sold him out. But then when it got to the point where Jesus allowed himself to be arrested, and he allowed himself to be crucified and scourged, Judas was like, wow, I betrayed innocent blood. And his confusion in trying to push his will above the will of God, but never submitting that, you know what, I don't know what's going on, God. I submit to your will. He just upset that the way he saw it didn't happen. Well, if it don't happen the way I think it should happen, I don't even know if I want to be part of it. Well, then guess what? You never were part of it. And that's why he hung himself. Right? And so, but why? Because it has to happen the way he wants it to happen, or he don't want it to happen no way at all. That's why you see a lot of people that are very, very, very rich. When they lose their money, what do? They jump out buildings and all that. Because if I can't live like this, I don't want to live. If I can't live with all this wealth and all, then why should I live at all? Because now you've said that the life that God gives you is not as important as the money that you feel you can earn. And so you got things. So it's important that we don't live self-willed. We live according to the will of God. Because then we understand, God will tell us the truth. Your self-will as to what you think should be and how things should happen can deceive you. You can put wrong things as foundational points in life and become deceived.
But that's what the Bible says. Every man is right in his own eyes.
Mm-hmm. That's right. In his own eyes, he thinks he's all that. But you need to find out what God says. All right? All right, and so we talked about that in the 11th verse. It says, whereas angels which are greater in power and might bring not really accusations against them before the Lord. So we talked about that, how even when you don't understand things, and actually let me read verse 12, because that's connected to that. Let me read 11 and 12 together. Whereas angels which are greater in power and might bring not really accusations against them before the Lord, but these are natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of things that they what? Understand not. And that's an important aspect. One of the reasons why you don't want to be self-willed, because there's so much that you just don't what? Understand. And so when you say to yourself, why do little children sometimes have to suffer and die young? And then you say, well, and some people will stand up and say, God's not a good God if he allows them. You hear people say that. God's not, see, you're speaking evil of dignitaries, in other words, someone that's of a high authority, but you're speaking it as a brute beast. Because a brute beast doesn't understand things. That's why a brute beast get caught in what? Snares and traps. That's why you can catch a rabbit and a squirrel and possums all in these little traps. Because they don't understand how things work. You set the bait and they go after the what? They go after the bait. Because their understanding is what? Limited. So the Bible says a lot of times we walk around like brute beasts. Our understanding is limited. And then we speak evil of the things that are of dignitary or of higher vision and higher understanding. And we're speaking that, but not really understanding why things are. So we have to sometimes just get to the point where we say, God knows. That's one of the best things you can do. Well, why do little babies and have to when little these monster human beings that grab children and kill them and molest them?